Welcome to LVT-SHOWBIZ, the place to get the fastest, highest quality, most interesting updates and new perspectives on Chinese entertainment. Thanks for watching LVT-SHOWBIZ. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to stay tuned for more exciting stories from the world of Chinese celebrities. Leave your thoughts in the comments, we'd love to hear from you.
No announcement, no special seating, no public schedule. On the surface, it was just another sold-out night filled with music, light sticks, and thousands of voices singing along in unison. But beneath that ordinary chaos, something quietly unfolded, something no one was meant to notice. And yet, once it was seen, it refused to stay small. People are still asking the same question today. Were they simply enjoying a concert like everyone else? Or were they trying to hide in plain sight? Because when Xu Kai and Tan Songyun appeared among the general crowd at Dylan Wang's concert, the atmosphere shifted in a way that is difficult to explain, but impossible to ignore. There was no dramatic entrance, no flash of cameras, no bodyguards clearing paths. Just two figures moving carefully through a sea of fans, dressed down, our faces partially hidden, hoping, perhaps, that the noise would swallow them whole. What happened next did not rely on rumours, leaked messages, or carefully worded statements. It relied on something far more powerful, instinct, and that is why this story has travelled faster than anyone expected. At first, nobody reacted. The venue was loud, the crowd restless with excitement. Phones were raised. But for the stage, not for the people standing shoulder to shoulder near the centre. Xu Kai wore dark, oversized clothing, his cap pulled low, posture relaxed but alert. Tan Songyun stayed close, her outfit lighter, her movements unassuming. To anyone passing by, they were simply cautious fans in a tightly packed space. Yet there is a certain sensitivity that comes with loving an artist for years. Fans notice things others miss, or a stillness that feels different, a way of standing that suggests awareness rather than distraction. One fan would later say she did not recognize a face at all. She recognized hands, long fingers, calm but deliberate, the kind of detail you only notice when you are not looking for trouble, but truth finds you anyway. They did not stand apart. They did not exaggerate distance. They stood like people who knew exactly how much space the other needed. That detail alone sparked whispers, but whispers do not create waves. Moments do. For nearly 40 minutes, nothing happened. The music rose and fell. The crowd jumped, swayed, and sang. It was easy to believe they might make it through the night unnoticed. And perhaps they would have, if not for a single movement in the crowd. Unintentional. Harmless but sudden. During a slower song, when the energy softened and people relaxed their guard, someone nearby turned too quickly, an arm lifting in excitement. It was the kind of movement that happens constantly in packed venues. Usually no one reacts. This time, someone did. Xu Kai moved before anyone else registered what was happening. His body shifted instinctively, his arm reaching out and drawing Tan Songyun closer, positioning himself between her and the sudden motion. There was no hesitation, no glance to see who was watching. Just a quiet protective adjustment that lasted no more than 3 seconds. 3 seconds. That was all it took. What followed was not applause or gasps in the venue, but something much louder online. Because what struck people was not only the action itself, but the response to it. Tan Songyun did not freeze. She did not look startled or confused. She did not turn to ask what had happened. She simply adjusted her stance and continued watching the performance, as though this was not unusual at all. That detail changed everything. Reactions that are performed tend to be bigger. They seek acknowledgement. This reaction did the opposite. It blended into the moment, suggesting familiarity rather than surprise. And familiarity is not something that can be convincingly staged in the middle of a crowd, surrounded by strangers with no awareness of who might be filming. Clips from different angles began to circulate, each one reinforcing the same truth. This was not choreography. This was not calculated. This was muscle memory. People replayed the footage not because it was dramatic, but because it felt human. Because it reminded viewers of moments in their own lives when someone stepped closer without thinking, when care expressed itself faster than words. Speculation followed, of course. It always does. But what made this situation different was the absence of denial and the absence of explanation. No rushed clarifications. No attempt to redirect attention. Silence, in this case, did not feel evasive. It felt respectful, as though the moment belonged to the people in it, not to the audience dissecting it later. Some asked why they chose to stand among the crowd instead of in a private area. Others wondered whether this was a test of normalcy, or simply a desire to experience something ordinary together. Perhaps the answer is simpler than any theory. Perhaps they wanted to hear the music without distance. Or perhaps they wanted to feel anonymous, even briefly. Or perhaps they trusted that blending in would protect them better than walls ever could. What is certain is this: the story resonated because it did not tell people what to believe. It showed them something and allowed space for recognition. It reminded audiences that closeness is often revealed not in declarations, but in reflexes, not in statements, but in silence. That is why this moment continues to circulate, not because it confirms anything, but because it reflects something familiar, the way care reveals itself when no one is supposed to be watching, the way genuine connection does not announce itself. It simply exists. And once you notice it, you understand why this was never just about a concert. If stories like this resonate with you, or if you enjoy exploring the quieter moments behind the noise of the entertainment world, I invite you to stay with us. Subscribe to LVT-SHOWBIZ, where we continue to look beyond headlines and discover the human stories hidden between the frames. Thank you for watching, for listening, and for sharing your thoughts with this community. Your presence here helps these stories travel further, and we look forward to seeing you again in the next video.